Father, for another great day that you've blessed us with. One thing you are going to notice different about me than what Pastor does or Josh does is I'm not going to be up here holding a device and navigating through anything at all.
Why not?
I am challenged, severely challenged with technology, and I'm not afraid to say that. Praise God. So we're in this series, the Selah series, and I was very excited when Pastor gave us these, and I got to pick kind of what one I wanted. So Pastor did 3, Josh did number 4, and the next Selah was 7. So I'm like, well, I'll just kind of keep it in that row. And I found it challenging and I found it awesome in the same sense. It paralleled some things for us, me really. I'm going to read Psalm 7. The heading is a Shiggaion of David, which he sang to the Lord concerning Cush, a Benjamite. A Shiggaion is a loud cry or an expression of great passion. Cush, the only thing we only know anything about Cush is that he was a Benjamite. David was a Benjamite. Saul's father was a Benjamite. And so is this Cush, is a Benjamite. So we are going to go ahead, and I am going to read through 7. So if you open your Bibles or you can follow along on the page that was given, I'm going to be reading this. O Lord my God, I take refuge in you. Save and deliver me from all who pursue me. Or they will tear me like a lion and rip me into pieces with no rescue. Or no one to rescue me. O Lord my God, if I have done this, and there is guilt on my hands, if I have done evil to him who is at peace with me, or without cause have robbed my foe, then let my enemy pursue and overtake me, and let him trample my life to the ground and make me sleep in the dust. Selah. Arise, O Lord, in your anger. Rise up against the rage of my enemies. Awake, my God. Decree justice. Let the assembled peoples gather around you. Rule over them from on high. Let the Lord judge the peoples. Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness, according to my integrity, O Most High, O righteous God, who searches minds and hearts. Bring to an end the violence of the wicked, and make the righteous secure. My shield is God Most High, who saves the upright in heart. God is righteous. God is a righteous judge, a God who expresses wrath every day. If he does not relent, he will sharpen his sword, and he will bend the string of his bow. He has prepared his deadly weapons. He makes ready his flaming arrows. He who is pregnant with evil conceives trouble, gives birth to disillusionment. He who digs a hole and scoops it out, falls into the pit he has made. The trouble he causes recoils on himself. His violence comes down on his own head. I will give thanks to the Lord because of this righteousness, and will sing his praise to the name of the Most High. As I read through that song, I read it several times, and it reminded me of a story. There was a woman that had moved into a new town, didn't know anything about the town or anything else like that, but she thought there were some things that were going on, and she wanted to try to do something about it. So there was another woman who befriended her and took her to these women leadership classes and stuff like that, and they started building a relationship. So this woman who had befriended, we'll call her Carrie. Carrie wanted to do more for the city, so they talked her into running for an election to be on a board, just a council board. And you know, she was a little bit scared of it, but she wanted to try to make a change, and she ran, was elected, and everything was going great. She threw herself into this. Carrie just absolutely loved being on the board, or the council, and she was excited. I don't know if you know, when before a council meets, or most board meet, they get a packet, and they're supposed to read through this packet. Well, whenever Carrie would get her packet, she was on it. She knew that packet front and back. Well, there was a very important vote that was going to be happening, and little did Carrie know that she was brought on board to be a vote in the pocket. She thought she was doing what was right, what was honest, and as she got to, as this vote started getting closer and closer, she started doing her homework. Carrie was she wanted to get to the root of what was going on. There was a major issue about this vote that just wasn't sitting well with her. Well, this other woman, they figured they had this vote in the pocket, and that it was all going to go exactly as they had planned. But with Carrie doing all the digging, and she went back years and years and found out all these different things that were not true that she was told. So she was fighting. She didn't know what to do about all this. And as it got closer and closer to the vote, she had a choice to make. She could have made it easy on herself and went ahead and went along with whatever they said they wanted her to vote. But she decided to do the right thing and did not vote the way they expected. The other members that were expecting a vote, this other group that was expecting this vote of yes, they were outraged. They were absolutely outraged. They started verbally attacking. Nothing ended up being physical or anything, but there were threats of physicality. Carrie, no matter what, she stood by it. She even went so far as these packets that everybody gets, she made everybody an individual packet for them so that they could read all the findings that were actually true. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine a couple days ago, and when these packets get sent out, very few of the people who receive these packets actually read the packages. So, which is unfortunate and unfair for not only the people, the members that are on a board or council or whatever they're doing, it's unfair to the community because they're supposed to know what's going on before they hit this meeting. So, a lot of these people, they didn't, so when Carrie had given this to them, a lot of them, the ones that read it, when they came in, they were already hot. They were extremely upset. And then the ones that didn't read it, they eventually got there, and then they started paging through and looking at it and finding out what this actual vote was from Carrie. And you could cut, I am so serious, you could cut the air with a knife. It was so thick of hate and anger in that room, all because something didn't go the way that they had planned. Because this one individual person stood up and said, this is not right. It's not right that we're doing this. This is wrong. It's not good for the city. It's not good for the community. It's not good for anybody here. So, Carrie had gone home that night, and there were already threats that were on her phone, telling her if she didn't change her vote, that this is going to happen and that could happen. You better watch your back. So you can believe that when Carrie shared this information with her spouse, he was upset, more than most people know. Not only did he want to get back at them, he wanted to hurt them. And it wasn't a hurt verbally, it was a physical hurt. He wanted to hurt people that were being more than unfair to his wife. They were just, the only way I can put it is, if somebody was, if it was your situation and somebody did something to your wife or said something about your wife, as a husband, your first reaction is, well, I gotta go do something. That's the first reaction you have. Luckily, I had some friends that had talked to me and talked me out of going to these different homes and hurting people. But when it finally came to a head, there was bickering, arguing at these board meetings constantly. So when a lot of this stuff was getting brought out during the meetings, one of the members, he kept saying, I don't have anything to do with this, I don't do that. But Carrie, she got up in front of the entire, not just the board, but the entire assembly that was there, and she got up, walked over, told this other individual that was causing most of the stuff that was going on, she walked over there and in front of them sincerely forgave him. What love? It was later on that this same member approached her husband and asked him, will you forgive me? And the husband said, I'm not that easy. Brother, you better believe that he was not that easy. So that's what comes to this song. Because it so much reflects that story. So what was it that these people held so much disdain for this woman, Carrie, that made it get to the head that it ended up getting to? Was that something didn't go their way, so they were going to hold a grudge. They held a grudge. And Carrie's husband held a grudge for a long time afterwards. Carrie was a bigger person than what her husband was at that time. So, what is a grudge? A grudge is a feeling of anger or resentment that you hold on to for a specific person for something they have done to you in the past. Again, grudges are not good. I have held grudges before. It doesn't help anything at all. I'm just wondering if I'm the only one in this room who have held a grudge. I would tend to say no. I think we've all held grudges at some point in our life. But it doesn't do anything for you. It's not good for you. So, Saul, going back to the song, Saul held a grudge against David. He had tried to kill David a few different times. So, in Saul's jealousy of David, it started when David would come back from battles. And the women would be out dancing and singing, saying how Saul killed thousands, but David killed 10,000s. And that's what sparked this grudge against David. All the different plots and ways that he was going to kill David. Twice he tried throwing spears and trying sticking him to a wall. So, we're going to get to verse 1 through 2. I'm going to quicken this up a little bit. O Lord my God, I take refuge in you. Save and deliver me from all who pursue me, or they will tear me like a lion and rip me to pieces, with no one to rescue me. David's asking to be saved here. 1 Peter 5, 6 and through 8, humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. Cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you. Be alert and sober in mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around you like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. He knows he can be in some big trouble here, but he's calling on his Father for help. Verses 3 through 4. My soul is in anguish. Oh, my bad. O Lord my God, if I have done this, and there is guilt on my hands, if I have done evil to him, who is at peace with me, or without cause have robbed my foe. David's asking God to search him. Search me. In Psalm 139:1, O Lord, you have examined my heart. You know everything about me. So even through these two short verses, look at the ifs that are in here. If I have done this, if there is iniquity in my hands, if I have repaid evil to him, and if I have plundered my enemy without cause. So I look back at Romans 12:17. Do not repay evil for evil. Carefully consider what is right in the eyes of everybody. Search me. Search me, God. It's different looking. We can ask for somebody to search us. We can look in the mirror. We can also lie to ourselves. I know I've done it. Maybe you have been searching for something and you're like, maybe somebody told you, hey, maybe you better look in the mirror and reflect maybe a little bit on what you have done, maybe if there is anything that you have done. But not only like another individual where you can ask, hey, do you notice anything different about me? You think I'm holding a grudge because of this and this and this? And they can say, no, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. You can do the same thing to yourself. You can look in that mirror and say, is there anything wrong with how I'm dealing with this issue, how I've dealt with that issue? You can feel convicted for a second, but if you don't want that conviction, you can tell yourself, I don't. And you'll believe it because you choose not to live in truth. You rather live a lie and think nothing's wrong, everything's fine. The only problem with that, it's not just physically healthy, it's spiritually healthy. Spiritually healthy to live in truth. Verse 5. Then let my enemy pursue and overtake me. Let him trample my life to the ground and make me sleep in the dust. See, here in verse 5, David he's proclaiming his innocence. He's proclaiming his innocence to the point where he is willing to die over this. He is so sure that he is so innocent. He's willing to have the Lord take his life. Now, I have gotten to the point where in my spiritual walk that I feel that I can do that and I'm going to be okay. I don't feel like God's going to strike me down because through my walk I have went from being a liar, not only to myself, but trying to fool God and tell God, hey man, you know I'm innocent. Come on. Everybody deserves it. If they did this to you, what would you do? Right? So he is so sure that he's innocent. He's willing that his life be taken from him. And here's our Selah, our pause. Pastor, when he did his on chapter 3, he said there was 3 different definitions for Selah. Apologize, brother, but I don't remember all 3 of them. I remember my part. David's emotions were everywhere. They were all over the place. He could have been mad. He could have been scared. His emotions were probably running all over the place. So my take on this and my look on this is that in in anger. How many of us are making the correct and right decision? Usually in those type of situations, we're jumping to a conclusion. And a lot of us, when we jump to that conclusion, we take action, and we take action now. It's not a wait and see. Well, let's think about, no, it's going to happen now. Whether it was just or not, we'll never know, because until after the fact, maybe you were wrong in your assumption, and you dealt with it, but it's too late to take back what you've done because you were wrong. So in this is what I would call, like, I think it was the first one Pastor called it, it was an interlude. I'm going to stop and pause, and I'm calmly going to think about this before I do something rash. Again, back to that story, Carrie's husband was able to have wise enough counsel to make him stop and say, I need to wait. If I go do something right now, a lot of bad things can not only happen to them, but to the husband as an individual. Bad things could have happened to him too. Jail, this, that, whatever. Because we don't know when we let emotions run our life, that's where we can get into the most trouble. So when we get to those points, that's what we need to do. We need to sail up. Take time out, man. Relax, chill, whatever you guys want to call it, and calmly think and rationalize what was done, what was said, how and why. So we're going to continue through verse 6 through 9. Arise, O Lord, in your anger. Rise up against the rage of my enemies. Awake, my God, decree justice. Let the assembled peoples gather around you. Rule over them from on high. Let the Lord judge the peoples. Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness, according to my integrity, O Most High. O righteous God, who searches minds and hearts, we can look back at that, who searches minds and hearts, bring to an end the violence of the wicked and make the righteous secure. When I was reading it, David's asking for God to sustain him. David is pleading with the Lord to let his congregation of holy men and women, that they get together so that this matter will be cleared up in the courts and in the eyes of the Lord. Out of the ASV, American Standard Version, Ephesians 6:12. I like this because I was a wrestler, I was a wrestling coach, I like the verbiage. For our wrestling is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and the powers, against the world ruler of this darkness, against the spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Plain and simple, every day there are fights in the heavenlies for us. I just want to let everybody know that God is for us. Who can be against us? God is for us. Who can be against us? And He continues to fight for us on a daily basis. Make no mistake, there is spiritual warfare every day for our souls. verses 10 through 17. My shield is God Most High, who saves the upright in heart. God is a righteous judge, a God who expresses his wrath every day. If he does not relent, he will sharpen his sword and will bend the string of his bow. He has prepared his deadly weapons. He makes ready his flaming arrows. He who is pregnant with evil and conceives trouble gives birth to disillusionment. He who digs a hole and scoops it out falls into the pit he has made. The trouble he causes recoils on himself. His violence comes down on his own head. I will give thanks to the Lord because of his righteousness, and will sing of his praises to the name of the Lord Most High. David's asking for protection here. David's shifting gears here, and he has the Lord getting ready, going to battle for him. And he is describing our Lord as he is, as a victorious warrior. God does not take kindly to people picking on his children.
Right.
He does not take kindly, again, to people picking on his children. I think sometimes we don't believe that God is for us all of the time. Satan likes to make us think there are times that you really messed it up this time, Rose. There's no coming back from that, man. But those are all things that I dealt with in my childhood growing up, is that I'm not going to be good enough. I'm not going to be this. I'm not going to be that. I can never have this. You're not good enough. You're stupid. You're not smart enough. Blah, 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 blah. And you know what? Things like that get told to kids, they carry those into today. And a lot of times they carry them to the day they die. Why? Because they're holding a grudge. They can't let go of it. When you hold on to a grudge, by holding on to that grudge, you hold yourself in bondage.
That's right.
That person's not holding you in bondage. You're holding yourself in bondage. Why? Because you can't let go of it. And a lot of times you don't want to let go of it. But the sad thing is that this person's not hurting you anymore. They may have said something or did something to you one time, and you want to hold a grudge about it. But the problem is, you're the one who is continually hurting yourself over what they did one time, and you are continually, through the years of your life, maybe even up until death, you're the one who continues to hurt over what they did once. But you will hurt yourself with this for the rest of your life, possibly, because you can't let go. Ladies and gentlemen, if we let bondage take hold of us, we let that grudge dictate how, and that's exactly, a grudge dictates how you live your life. It really does. Holding on to a grudge, it will affect not only relationships that you're in now, but it will affect future relationships. Somebody that may have not even done any, they may not even have done anything to you yet, but because of the grudges that you've held against other people, you're just waiting for something to happen and say, look, see, I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. There's nobody that can't say anything nice about me, blah, 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 whine, whine, whine. I'm serious. We as a people of human origin, of just being here with us, with our worldness that we live in, we want empathy. We crave empathy. We want somebody to feel sorry for us. We want to be that victim a lot of times. We want to play that role. But God didn't make us for that role.
That's right.
He made us to be victorious.
Yes.
And because of Him, we are victorious over death, sin, and the devil. So, if there is anybody here today that is having issues with being able to forgive somebody, that a grudge has got them held in bondage, I don't want you to look at a friend. I don't want you to look at a spouse. I don't want you looking in a mirror. I'm just going to ask everybody right now to bow your heads. And do you have the intestinal fortitude to let the Holy Spirit look at you and tell you whether or not you hold a grudge to anybody? And if you do, me, Pastor Craig, and Pastor Josh, we will be up here as soon as you get done praying, seeking. I'll ask anybody if they want to come up, and I'll just have them come up. If you want to do it now as you're praying and Holy Spirit prompts you to just come up, come on up.